In the 1980s, two congressmen of the United States discovered that more than 15% of the US soldiers who were serving in the Vietnam War were addicted to heroin. This discovery had a great impact, and a Special Action Office for Drug Abuse Prevention was created to promote prevention and rehabilitation and to track addicted service members when they returned home. Lee Robbins, one of the researchers in charge, found something that contradicted the accepted beliefs about addiction at the time. Robbins found that when soldiers who had been heroin users returned home, only 5% of them became re-addicted within a year, and just 12% relapsed within 3 years. In other words, approximately 9 of 10 soldiers who used heroin in Vietnam eliminated their addiction nearly overnight. This finding contradicts the prevailing view, which considered heroin addiction to be a permanent and reversible condition. Instead, Robbins revealed that addiction could spontaneously dissolve if there was a radical change in the environment. In Vietnam, soldiers spent all day surrounded by kills triggering heroin use. It was easy to access, they were engulfed by the constant stress of war, they built friendships with fellow soldiers who were also heroin users, and they were thousands of miles from home. Once a soldier returned to the United States, he found himself in an environment devoid of those triggers. When the context changed, so did the habits. In today's video, we will talk about how to be more disciplined, how to have more self-control, and it will be based on the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Hey guys, your Money Brain here and welcome to our channel. The book Atomic Habits was designed to explain how to build habits. So the context here of self-control will be related to the discipline that helps to maintain good habits and also weakens the bad ones. The Vietnam studies ran counter to many of the cultural beliefs about bad habits at the time because it challenged the conventional association of unhealthy behavior as a moral weakness. If you are overweight, a smoker, or an addicted somehow, you may have been told that it's because you lack self-control. The idea that a little bit of discipline would solve all your problems is deeply embedded in our culture. But according to the book, recent research shows something different. When scientists analyze people who appear to have tremendous self-control, it turns out those individuals aren't all that different from those who are struggling. Instead, disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that does not require heroic willpower and self-control. In other words, they spend less time in tempting situations. Basically, it's easier to practice self-restraint when you don't have to use it very often. So yes, perseverance and grit and willpower are essential to success, but the way to improve these qualities is not by wishing that you were a more disciplined person, but creating a more disciplined environment, and that's the key. This becomes clear when we understand what happens when a habit is formed in the brain. Once a habit has been encoded, the urge to act follows whenever the environment cues reappear. This is one reason behavior change techniques can backfire. Shaming obese people with weight loss presentations can make them feel stressed, and as a result, many people return to their favorite coping strategy, overeating. Showing pictures of blackened lungs to smokers leads to higher levels of anxiety, which drives many people to reach for a cigarette. Watching too much television makes people feel sluggish, so they watch more television because they don't have the energy to do anything else. If you're not careful about cues, you can cause the very behavior you want to stop. It's a downward spiral, a runaway train of bad habits. And here's the punchline according to the author. We can break a habit, but we are unlikely to forget it. Once the mental grooves of the habits have been carved into our brain, they are nearly impossible to remove entirely, even if they go unused for quite a while. And that means that simply resisting temptation is an ineffective strategy. It's hard to maintain a Zen attitude in a life filled with interruptions. It takes too much energy. In the short term, we can choose to overpower temptation. In the long run, we become a product of the environment that we live in. So, a more reliable way is to cut bad habits off at the source. One of the most practical ways to eliminate a bad habit is to reduce the exposure to the cue that causes it. If you can't seem to get any work done because you have been distracted by your smartphone, you can silence the notifications, or if you can, put it in another room for a few hours. If you're wasting too much time watching television, or even going to sleep late because of it, You can try to move the TV out of your bedroom. If you are playing too much video games, unplug the console and put it in a closet after each use. Simple changes can be very effective to avoid a bad habit, but you can use the same idea to strengthen a good habit. If you want to read more, you can leave a book right next to your bed instead of on a shelf. You can even choose a piece of furniture in your house as the reading place. If you want to exercise more, you can set up all of your gear on the previous day. So whenever you want to go to the gym, all you have to do is get your stuff and go. If you want to save more money, it's more effective to transfer the amount you want to save to another account at the moment you receive your payment. Do not wait to save what left over at the end of the month. Self-control is a short-term strategy, not a long-term one. You may be able to resist temptation once or twice, but it's unlikely you can muster the willpower to override your desires every time. Instead of summoning a new dose of willpower whenever you want to do the right thing, your energy will be better spent optimizing your environment. And this, according to the book, is the secret of self-control, making the cues of the good habits obvious and the cues of the bad ones invisible.